You're listening to the Lazy Bob Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I am the man, the myth, the legend, in my own mind, the one, the only, Lazy Bob. Welcome back. Another week, another podcast. Making it another week. Yay! Another podcast. Well, obviously, since I'm here, I don't have $1 billion. I wish I did. One person won the $1 billion out of Illinois, I think it was. One person. Jesus. I know there was a lot of talk. Whenever the lottery gets as high as it does, one thing that they like to talk about, is it better to take the lump or is it better to take the yearly payment? And everyone's like, I'm taking the lump. And the biggest downside of the lump is, and I've seen it happen to people that win smaller lotteries, they take the lump and they basically just spend it all in just a couple of years and then they're broke again. So I personally would never take the lump. I don't care if I knew I only had a couple more years left to live. I wouldn't take the lump because you burn it out fast. And I think when you break down the 1.28, I live in Georgia, so when you figure out the taxes in Georgia and you figure out the 30-year breakdown, that payout, that jackpot, being a sole winner, the first year you would have left that office with $13 million in change. And then, of course, when you do the 30-year payout, it progressively gets higher every year. They spread it out over 30 years, and then your 30th payment is your biggest payment. And I think it ranged from first year, I want to say it was like 13.3 or 13.4 for the first year's payment, and then if you make it to year 30, the payment is shy of 56. Me being as frugal as I am, because I'm a frugal person. It's like I'll look at Amazon, I'll be in Walmart, or I'll be anywhere really, and I'll look at something and go like, wow, that's really nice, I ought to get that. And then I start thinking about the practical uses of it, like, do I really need this? I really have a huge internal battle with myself on buying certain things, even though I'm in a position now where I'm pretty comfortable. I still shop the sales papers. I still use coupons when I can. I go the cheap route whenever possible. Like, I need a new headset for my Xbox. Mine started breaking about 6 months ago. And instead of buying a new headset, even though, yes, headsets are getting hard to find right now, just like most electronics that are worth a damn, my headset right now is being held together by toothpicks and tape, by gaff tape. But hey, it does the job. It does what I needed to do. So there's really no point in replacing it right now. So either way, winning just the first year payout of the $13 million would probably be enough to tide me over for a long time. Of course, probably if I were to get married, I know most of that money would probably get spent by the wife. Because, hey, take my wife, please. That's sort of how it works. At the top of the show, I want to give a huge shout out to my neighbors. I live in an apartment complex, and people that are close to me know the trials and tribulations I've been having with my neighbors. It has been a nightmare situation. At least the last 6 months, I would say. The neighbor that is connected to my bedroom, I've had him for maybe 3 years now. I think we're at 3 years now. It may be 4 at this point. It is a constant battle with the noise that comes from his living room that's connected to my bedroom. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. because I think he works overnight. Just the amount of noise that comes from over there from his TV, and he watches some of the most random things possible. So there's that issue. Then I got the neighbors that are connected to my living room. I'm connected to their bedroom. And when they first moved in, there wasn't a lot of noise coming from over there. The biggest problem is they smoke. So I'm just going to say something other than cigarettes. I'll leave it at that. And they would do it outside, and it would skunk up my apartment, like really bad. And then at some point, they got a sound system in their bedroom. And there was it was every day for like 2 weeks straight where it was just super freaking loud. So you could hear what was going on in my bedroom. You could hear them in my bedroom. And they're connected to my living room. They were that loud. And I finally had to file a complaint with my building. And not long after I filed the complaint, they quieted down. But anytime, here in my complex, there's a quiet time. It's 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. That's the quiet time. And outside of that time, it's not be as loud as you want to be. They're still like, hey, be a little courteous, but, we're not going to say a whole lot. The neighbors to my living room, I guess they figured out that I was the one that was complaining. It didn't matter what time of day. If they heard the slightest of noises coming from my apartment, they're banging on the wall. Now, they're also still being loud. They're still skunking up my apartment. They decide to file a complaint against me. Well, the lady in the front office calls me and says, hey, they filed a complaint on you. And I go, okay. Well, and then I was told, hey, don't worry about it. You're not the only one that's filed a complaint against them. And when you filed your complaint against them, I could clearly hear stuff that wasn't coming from your apartment. It was clearly coming from somewhere else. But when they called and filed their complaint, you couldn't hear anything in the background. So I really don't know what they were complaining about because I couldn't hear anything in their message. So they were like, we're going to try to figure out a solution for this. So the building came out and said, listen, we're not taking any more complaints unless you can produce a police report where you've contacted the police and the officer that responds and writes the report documents that he heard whatever noise that you're complaining about. Then we'll take action. Well, now that there's the encouragement of getting police involved, whatever they were smoking to skunk up my apartment, they've either stopped smoking it or they just do it in a way now where it doesn't skunk up my apartment. But here's the problem, though. They like being petty. They like being childish. And I don't smoke, but somehow magically cigarette butts always end up in my walkway, leaving my door. And the reason why I'm thanking my neighbors, because this past Thursday night, I guess they decided to have a little party. And whoever was running the grill for their party obviously does not know how to use a grill, because for like 4 hours, all I could smell was lighter fluid, which is not good. I'm sure all that food just tasted like lighter fluid. At some point during the evening, someone dropped a beer bottle on the sidewalk. No big deal, just pick it up. No, they swept it off into the grass. So when the lawn people come in a couple of weeks, I'm sure they're going to love finding that. They're going to love finding that. So thank you to my neighbors for being so awesome. Being so awesome. And I'm sure they're the reason why I have to deal with ants so much. I'm sure they have a little hand in that. But going to give a quick update about the complaints that I made last week. I made some complaints about a few places because I had probably one of the worst weekends when it came to dealing with food and customer service. I had mentioned that I sent a long email to the Macon Bacon about what happened at that game that I had went to, and the president of the team reached out, replied back, and I had tentatively agreed to meet with him and talk in person. And I really had started thinking, well, I've had these problems with all these other places. I even had problems with the local regional hockey team. And in all these talks, all I ever get are apologies and offers of free stuff. No real promise or attempt to rectify the actual situation to make sure that what happened never happens again. And I'm not interested in getting anything free. I'm not really interested in apologies. I just want to make sure that what I'm paying for is what I'm getting. That's all I care about. So I had decided that I wasn't going to talk to him, and I had pretty much decided that I wasn't going to go. I had pretty much made up my mind that I'm not going to that game this past Friday, even though it was the last regular season game, the last home regular season game for the team. I had pretty much decided I wasn't going to go, and this was probably early on. No, this was probably late Wednesday. I decided, you know what, I'm just not going. And then I get an email from, I can't remember her name right now. I don't have the email in front of me. But she is over the wait staff for the team. And she basically apologized like they all do. But she had mentioned in there that basically the situation had been handled, that I wouldn't have to worry about that waiter anymore. And I'll let you come to your own conclusions of what that means. And she made sure to let me know that the waitress that I had bragged on was on vacation during that game. That's why she wasn't there. But she's back from vacation, and she will be working your section on Friday night. She made a point to make sure that I knew that. So with that email, I decided to go. And again, this waitress, rock star, as she had been all season. The place was packed. It was advertised as a sellout, but there were still a few empty seats. But the weather was kind of iffy, and it was pretty humid. But again, she was rock star. On her last pass through, I made sure to give her like a little bonus tip for just being awesome. So yeah, end of the season on a better note than it would have been if I hadn't have gone. I'm not sure if anyone for the Bacon heard the last podcast or is even listening to this one, but if anyone from the Bacon are listening to this podcast, I'm not going to say her name on the podcast, but the waitress from section 107 from Friday night, she's awesome. Let her know she's awesome, and let her know Bob said that she's awesome. There's that. So there's the update on that. And as for like all the other places that I mentioned last weekend, I haven't gone to those particular locations. Like I said, I wouldn't. I haven't gone. The McDonald's. I go to a different location now. I actually drive past the one that I had the issue at to get to the other one. And the first time I go to the other one, the other location, who do I see there? I see two employees from my location that used to work there. And they kind of look at me like, what are you doing here? And I went, I'm not going back there anymore. And they just started laughing. They know. They know what the problem is. There's so many places are unwilling to do anything about it. It's crazy. I'm not interested in apologies. It's just I'm not interested in apologies. But yeah, whew, man, woo, chair popping. It's popping. It's popping in here today. Popping. I'm recording this on a Sunday. We release these on Monday, and I just watched Max Verstappen in the Formula One race earlier. He spins out and still wins the race. Incredible, Max Verstappen is, man. Incredible driver. Marvel Comic-Con was a thing. Conventions are so weird to me. You pay a fee to get in so that you could pay a fee to do other things. It's so crazy because, like, when you pay money to get into a theme park, you could pretty much do anything in the theme park you want without having to pull out extra money, unless, of course, you're eating or buying souvenirs. You pay your way to a theme park, you do pretty much whatever you want. A convention, you go in and you're either paying to meet someone, paying for an autograph, paying for a photo, or you're waiting in line for 5-6 hours so you can listen to a few celebrities talk for 20, 30 minutes. Conventions are weird, man. There was one this weekend in Savannah. I almost went because Kurt Angle's there, and the price wasn't terrible. But then I started thinking, it's like, I'm going to pay all that money to get in. I'm going to pay all that money because gas is still crazy. I'm going to pay for gas to drive out there, get a hotel room because it's a 2-day thing. I'm going to pay all that money, and then anyone that I want to meet, get an autograph from, or take a photo with, I'm going to have to pay even more money. You go to like one of these wrestling conventions, you pay $50 to get in. You better have a couple $100 in cash on you because you're going to have to pay to meet all these guys that are there. What a racket. What a racket. Conventions, man. I'm in the wrong business. I need to start doing conventions. No wonder there's so many of them. And you look at some of these conventions where like some of these people charge like $50 for a photo. And they don't even get up. They just sit behind their table and smile. And there'd be lines of hundreds of people, $50 a head. Be like, oh, you want to get that autograph? That's going to be another $50. And then some of them, like The Undertaker, they have like all these special rules about what they will or will not sign. Did anyone ever figure out why that 1 year of his trading card he wouldn't sign? I guess it's because he knows how much that card would be worth if he signed it. And he doesn't want to be a part of that. I don't know. But yeah, conventions. Woo. But Marvel, about the only thing that comes out of Comic-Con that I even care about. I know Keanu Reeves showed up to talk a little bit about John Wick. Yeah, I'll be more interested in that when it actually comes out. But Marvel basically gave everyone kind of a heads up of what to expect in the wrap up of Phase 4. You got She-Hulk on Disney Plus. Ugh. Cheap. Then you have Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is going to wrap up season Phase 4. And then you come out of the gates hot in February, Phase 5 with Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania on February 17th. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm just hitting the high points here of Phase 5 that I'm looking forward to. So you have that. Then you have Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on May 5th, which I think is Tim Gunn's last hoorah for Marvel. After they made the mistake of letting him go and letting him get a taste of DC. And now DC is basically, I guess DC is giving him a blank check to do whatever the hell he wants with whatever characters he wants. Because I know that there's, I think he's got 2 different untitled projects that he's working on for them. I think it's 2. I could be wrong. It may only be 1, but I think there may be 2 where they're like, hey, here's our catalog of characters. Do whatever you want. You have free reign. Loki season 2 coming out next summer, which I'm excited about. I'm excited for more Loki. I love the character Loki, and any excuse to have more Owen Wilson. Wow. And isn't it true that he refuses to do any script where it has him just saying just that? Like, he unintentionally made that his catchphrase, and now he wants nothing to do with that word. He never wants to say wow by itself again. Blade, November 3rd of next year. So that's 3 movies that's coming out that I'm like, yay. I know The Marvels is also coming out. Don't know the date of that. I'll watch it, but I'm like not like doing cartwheels for it. It'd be kind of one of those things. I'll go see it like right before it gets out of theaters when no one else is going. And speaking of customer service, I'll get into that in just a second. And then the thing I'm most excited about for Phase 5, Daredevil Born Again. When I saw Daredevil in the latest Spider-Man movie, I popped. I was so excited because I loved the Netflix show. Daredevil is the only good Netflix show that Marvel did. The others, Jessica Jones was okay. I couldn't stay interested in it. Daredevil was good. This is supposed to be kind of a soft reboot. They're not completely starting over. They're kind of just they may be undoing a few things, I think. But what's most interesting about this, it's spring of 2024 that it's coming out. But what is so interesting of this, most Marvel Disney Plus shows are like 6 to 8 episodes. I think there was one that was 9. They've already said this one's going to be a long one. This is going to be 18 episodes. They are doing like a full-blown TV season for this, which which is going to be awesome, especially with the way that Marvel does their shows, where each episode could be its own standalone movie. They put so much work and effort into it. They don't shoot it like a normal TV show. They shoot their TV shows like they would a movie. It is a huge spectacle. They put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, where like if you go back and you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was filmed like a traditional television show. And when you try to, and I see why they're doing it, when you try to lay the episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. within the phase and you're trying to watch along in time, the quality drop off is so high that it's like, and I think that's why near the end of the run for the show, they really separated. They really did a hard separation of the two, where the MCU is happening over here in its own world. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is happening over here in its own world. And the two are not going to meet. And I think that's why now that they're doing these Disney Plus shows, they're working so hard to make sure that quality there is on par with the movies. So I'm excited to see what they do with Daredevil, bringing it back. And then, of course, they did announce Phase 6. They only announced 3 things for Phase 6. They announced Fantastic Four. I'm interested in seeing if John Krasinski stays on. I know how excited he was to play it in Doctor Strange. So we'll see what happens there. And then we have the two next Avenger movies that are going to wrap up Phase 6. And then they said, oh, don't worry, we've got plans for after Phase 6. And I'm just watching along going, good grief, how much longer can they go? How much longer can they keep this up? But apparently they have plans to keep things going for a while. But I mentioned customer service. After last week's show, some of my friends got me thinking about some of the experiences that I had before I started doing the podcast again. And one of them involves the movie theater here in Macon. Our movie theater is a part of a regional chain of theaters. And like many places, it has a rewards program. And most reward programs are not worth it. This one it's basically $10 a year, and you get free upgrades on your drink and popcorn from medium to large. Once you gather so many points, you get a $15 credit. Or is it 10? It may be 10. Because I think it was 10, they've gone to 15. That you can use towards your concession purchases, but once you earn that credit, you only have 60 days to actually use the credit, or you lose it. So, if you're not someone that goes very often, you might lose out on those perks, which makes the whole thing about buying that membership pointless. I go just enough where I think it's worth it, and also, once a year, you get a $15 credit that you can use towards, you get like a birthday credit or whatever that you can also use towards concessions. But I went, I think it was Spider-Man. Yeah, it was Spider-Man that I went to go see. And I walk up to the counter. I have my rewards card and I have my debit card. And usually, you just show them the reward card and they ask you for your phone number. And I go up there. I was like, I'd like the medium popcorn drink with the membership upgrade. And I just slap my debit card down on the counter. He goes, grabs my popcorn, grabs a drink, starts punching in on the thing. And I go to grab a straw and I'm putting it in the drink. And as I'm putting my straw in, he grabs debit card, swipes it. I'm like, whoa, did you not need my phone number? And he just stops and gives me that, oh, shit look. So he charged me full price for the large popcorn and drink. And then I don't get the point credit for that purchase. Here's the other thing. I had a $10 credit because I had earned so many points. That $10 credit was going to expire the next day. So not only did I get charged for the large popcorn and drink, but it should have been $10 cheaper. And he basically just looks at me and goes, sorry, man. You can't like take it back and start over? No. What? Really? What? What? One beer? What? Two beers? What? So I had to go on their website and fill out this long-ass form and basically explain the situation to them. They wouldn't apply the points after the fact, and they wouldn't reinstate the perk. I'm not the one that fucked up. But great customer service. And so pretty much at this point, if I didn't renew my membership, because it actually came due not that long ago, right before Doctor Strange, it came up. And I didn't renew. I'm not going to renew it. Pretty much the only things I'm going to the theater now for are the Marvel movies, because pretty much everything now, after it's been out of the theater for like a month, it's available on some sort of streaming. So for me, I'm done with the movie theater experience. Done. And also this theater here, the chain participates in doing theater broadcasts of wrestling pay-per-views and UFC events, except for my location. For some reason, my location is like, no, because, they put the AEW events in theaters, not mine. UFC events in theaters, not mine. WWE events in theaters, not mine. Mine's like, screw you, we're not doing it. Ridiculous. So yeah, more Marvel. It's a long way to go to say more Marvel. Want to talk some wrestling? Let's talk some wrestling. I'm actually excited to talk about wrestling for once in a long time. But first, I want to get the quick AEW rant out of the way. So I decided on Wednesday night that I was just going to flip on AEW and just see what the hell is going on. I turn it on and I see Moxley standing in the ring, and as soon as the picture started playing, Judas starts playing. Jericho and a few of his appreciators come out, and one of them is trying to get to the point so that Jericho can start doing his promo, and he also wants to get the fans to stop singing Judas, but even the pyrotechnics guy was like, screw you, we're blowing off some pyro, man. So you got a guy screaming, shut up, no, and then pyro starts going off, so he just has to put his arm down and wait for the pyro to stop. You would think someone would tell him, it's like, hey, listen, you're going to go out, pyro's going to go off, and then you start screaming for them to stop singing. But no one has that foresight to tell him that. You would have thought someone would have grabbed it and be like, hey, listen, the pyro's going to go off and then you're going to stop them. They just kind of sent them on their way. He starts screaming for everyone to stop singing. Then the pyro goes off. People keep singing. And he just looks like a fool. Like most of the people in AEW look like fools. So Moxley is in the ring. He just successfully defended his interim championship. Why do they have him facing so many random jerk-offs for this interim belt? These are just some of the most random collection of people that if this was the actual championship, they never would have got an opportunity. I think these are people that they had already earmarked to face Moxley. And since he has this interim belt, they just decided, well, we'll make it for the belt. And instead of, just changing the booking to make Moxley look like a champion, we'll just keep having him do these garbage matches against nobodies and just call them championship matches. And then these nobodies that he's facing will make it way more competitive than it should be. But the point of this was Jericho wants to come out and challenge for this interim belt. Because I guess Moxley is the last of the crew that revolves around Eddie Kingston. Moxley accepts, but he doesn't want El Champion. He doesn't want the Wizard. He doesn't want the Painmaker. Who doesn't want the Painmaker? He's available for kids' birthdays now. With that shitty clown makeup. He'll come make balloon animals and lose belts. Waka waka. No, he wants the last surviving member of the Heart Dungeon. He wants the Lionheart Chris Jericho. Does anyone remember the last time he tried doing the lion salt? He about spiked himself because he couldn't rotate anymore. He is so old and so slow now. I don't want to see the Lionheart. I don't want to see Chris Jericho, period, at this point. I'm done with it. But they've made it very clear that what they ultimately want to have happen is they want it to be Punk and Jericho when Punk comes back. And Punk, I'm worried about when he'll come back. Because initially, it seemed like, it's just going to be a few months. He'll probably be back in time for All Out. No. He was walking around Comic-Con, and you could tell that he was so miserable and in so much pain. I think they said that he was having to stop and ice his foot several times over the course of the day. It's not good. The secrecy around the foot injury was for a reason, because it's not good. His foot is a lot worse than people wanted to believe it was. It's bad. So we may be a long way off from Punk being back, which just emphasizes the point of where's MJF? Where is he? Why is he not doing anything? It's just AEW doesn't know what they're doing. Tony Khan has got to be the biggest idiot in pro wrestling right now. Apparently, Hook wins the FTW title, which I guess they're now treating as a real thing now. Congratulations, Hook, I guess. But then Saturday night was what I was ultimately waiting for. And I was super excited about SummerSlam. And I think the biggest reason why I was excited about SummerSlam was because this is the first big event without Vince. And I think a lot of people were excited to see what was going to happen. And I'm just going to say off the top, WWE over-delivered. WWE knocked this one out of the park. It was one of the better events that I've seen WWE put on in a long time. They really outdid themselves. The show started out with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title. It was a good match between the two. It's really pulling for Becky. Bianca retains. But the biggest thing that came out of this was Bayley then comes out. Well, no, let me go back up. Let me back up. So Becky has been miserable without her belt. She has been pretty much willing to do anything and everything to get her belt back. She loses this match against Bianca and then immediately turns face and is over chasing the belt. She reaches out, gives a handshake and the hug, and then leaves. That's when Bayley comes out. Bayley looks great. Probably the best she's looked since she came to WWE. When she was first at WWE, I couldn't stand her. She had that cutesy, kid-friendly look that it was just annoying to look at. And then when she turned heel, she tried losing it. But when I looked at her, I still saw that bright-colored, childish Bayley and I would just cringe looking at her. But that year away has kind of erased that image of her in my head. Because when I first saw her come out there and like the way she was dressed, the way she had her hair, and the way she had her makeup, I'm sitting there going like, okay, let's go. All right, Bailey. And then she gets about halfway down the entranceway and stops. More music hits. Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai comes out. She was fired back in April. So is that a Triple H move to bring her back? Dakota Kai comes out, looks awesome. Hadn't seen her in a while. Looks freaking awesome. And then more music hits. Io Shirai comes out. And all I can think is like, all right, here we go. Now we're going somewhere. Now we're actually bringing in some female wrestlers that know what the hell they're doing in the ring. Let's go. Let's get rid of Carmella. Natalya can go on retirement. Let's get her out of here. Get Doudrop out of there. Now we're doing something. Let's go. So the three of them hop in the ring. They stare down Bianca, and then Becky gets back in the ring and apparently is now good. Because she stands next to Bianca and just looks at the three and is like, come on, what are you going to do? Let's go. And then the three basically just skedaddle off. I was glad to see those three come in, but that was a TV segment. That is something they could have done on TV on Monday night, but I get it. They wanted to have a surprise. They wanted to give the fans a shock. We all kind of figured Bayley was set to return any day because her injury was July of last year, and those injuries are pretty much a year at least. So we knew that any day now we would see her back. So now it starts whatever build. It's going to be up to Survivor Series for Bayley. Probably just put her immediately against Bianca, which is the thing to do, because the women's division as a whole is in shambles right now. But yeah, apparently that threesome was pitched a while back, and Vince said no. So you got to wonder again, is this a Hunter move being like, hey, I'm in charge now, we're going to do this? Then you had Logan Paul versus The Miz. One of the things that I could tell when I watched Raw last week was there was obviously less crowd noise. Obviously less fake crowd noise. Let me rephrase that. Fake crowd noise. When they had the impulsive segment, say that right. When Logan Paul and Miz were fighting, the place was dead. There was very little happening in the crowd. At one point, they were cheering for The Miz because if you know the history of Logan Paul and you know the character of The Miz, you hate both of them. You want to see both of them get their asses beat. The problem is, since they're facing each other, someone's going to end up winning this, and it's like, who do we want to win in this? And it seemed like the crowd Monday night was rooting for The Miz. Get out here for this match. Miz comes out carrying a card holder that has a Polaroid of him giving the Skull Crusher finale to Paul from Mania, making fun of Logan Paul's Mania entrance where he wore the Pokemon card around his neck that was worth millions. Logan comes out. Crowd is actually, starting to feel it a little bit. Logan pulled out all the stops. You could tell that he spent a lot of time getting ready for this match. And by the end of it, of course, Ciampa's out there with The Miz. AJ Styles had to get a payday for the show, so they had him come out and fight Ciampa off to make the fight a little more fair. By the end of the match, the crowd was going crazy for Logan Paul. And Logan Paul ends up winning. Good for him. Theory, Bobby Lashley. Short and sweet. Bobby Lashley won and retained. Judgment Day versus the Mysterios in a no disqualification tag match. It's a no disqualification tag match. Why do they have tags? They had tags in and out of the ring. It's no disqualification. What incentive is there when it's no disqualification to actually tag? What incentive is there when you actually tag to get out of the ring? When it's a no disqualification, what incentive is there to just stand on the apron while your partner's getting beat up? Did anyone think that through? Anyone? Am I the only one? In the words of Jim Cornette, lazy booking. No sense whatsoever. But it led to Edge coming back, which, you know, yay. His 12th return in 3 years? How many times can someone just go away for like 2 months and then come back to a huge pop? How many times can someone do that? I think Edge is testing the waters on that. How often can I leave and come back and still the crowd go crazy? Then you had Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. McAfee, man. McAfee just gets it. It's crazy, but he gets it. He's a wild man in the ring. He just gets it. But good on McAfee for winning. The only complaint, you know what? No, I'm not going to get into it. Then you had Street Profits and Usos in a tag match for the unified tag titles with Jeff Jarrett as special guest referee, and no real reason for him to be special referee. Special referee. There's no reason. None whatsoever. Very flimsy booking for the reason. Oh, the last show, his shoulder was actually up, but the ref didn't see it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the matches that the ref doesn't see, so we're going to have special refs for every match now? Just fire all the refs and just have special, just bring in random people to referee every match now? The way that you book into something like that, the way I would do it, is you have these two teams be in a series of matches, whether they be singles or do tags on TV, but you have to make it where these two teams wanted each other so bad, they hate each other so much that no referee can control them. That it doesn't matter what they do, the referee cannot keep this under wraps. It just dissolves into a just all out, anything goes brawl. And then Jarrett, who is an agent for WWE because he's the head of live events, you have him out there trying to break up one of the many fights that they're in, and he inadvertently gets hit. And then you go, okay, I've had it damn enough. You're going to have one more match, but this time I'm going to be the special referee, and I'm going to make sure to keep things in order. You know, if you just absolutely want to have a special referee, you got to give it some sort of reason. It doesn't matter how small it is. You got to give it some sort of reason. You can't just decide, we're going to do a special ref. Why? No reason. Yeah, it's Nashville. Jarrett, we got him. Use him. That's all that was. Usos win. So tired of the Usos. Ready for them to go. Ready for another tag team to be put on that pedestal. But as long as Reigns is there, we're going to have to deal with the Usos. The only match that I really checked out on, Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan. I just checked out. I love Liv Morgan. Love her to death. She somehow has survived multiple roster cleanings and has stuck around and grinded it out enough to be awarded a run with the belt. But this match, oh boy. And I think Ronda's going to have to wear a little bit of that too, because Ronda is too green to herself to be able to carry on a match with Liv Morgan. But they do the spot where Ronda is trying to submit Liv, but Liv gets Ronda's shoulders on the mat. The ref counts 3, and of course, as the ref is about to hit 3, Liv starts tapping out, but the ref doesn't see it. Ronda turns heel. Lazy booking. But I had checked out on the match, so I really didn't care. I can't remember exactly when this happened, so I'm just going to talk about this here. That Kid Rock segment. Holy crap. That's all you can really say. He basically pours the beer all over himself, then makes out with this woman who I'm hearing is a comedian. Then he flips off the camera, so they had to cut to black, I almost said Paramount. Peacock cut to black. What a wild man. But the match of the night, just the main event, this match blew me away. I was just eyes glued to every second of what was going on. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, last man standing for the undisputed Universal Championship, and my chair is just popping and creaking all over the place and cracking, and I don't know what's going on. But this match was an epic. It was one of their best matches. And a Lesnar match that went longer than 10 minutes. Holy crap. Bell to bell. I'm not including intros either. They did a couple of table spots, which cut up Lesnar's back. Lesnar is... they call him the Beast. He is a beast. He is a real-life beast. This dude is an animal. He is not human. The things that he is able to put himself through and then just constantly just get up and act like nothing's wrong. Ugh. I'm waiting for him to like pull the skin off his arm and show his endoskeleton. The scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger in T2. I keep waiting for him to do that. One day it's going to happen. I will need you to listen very carefully. I'm a cop, you idiot. But they use a tractor to lift the ring at one point. They ended up having to bury Brock Lesnar so that he wouldn't be able to answer the 10 count, because it didn't matter what they hit him with or who hit him with something. He just kept getting back up. If you haven't watched SummerSlam and you have Peacock, you owe yourself a watch of that entire show. I enjoyed it. It made me very hopeful for the future of WWE. them pulling off a show like that. Made me very hopeful. And now we have a 5-week wait for their next event, and this one's going to be in the UK. It's going to be Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the Universal Championship. And I'm sure I don't know if we'll see Bayley Bianca. We may see like a tag match. I don't think we'll have a title match yet. I wouldn't be surprised if the angle that they did with Ronda attacking the ref like she did, so that they could suspend her, because I don't think she's going to the UK. And that would be an excuse for why she's not there. Just throwing that out there. That might be what's going on. But we'll see. So that's pretty much going to do it. Yeah, this is my last podcast before I go to New York for 4 days. It's going to be fun. Hopefully I have some stories to bring back and share. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, The Bob is Lazy. I might be posting some stuff while I'm on vacation there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Lazy Bob. Next wrestling show for me is August 13th. WrestleMerica The Reckoning in Forsyth, Georgia at the Monroe County Rec Department, the Rec Center. We will have CCW Fan Fest 2022 DVDs on sale at the show. Just come find me if you're at the show. That's pretty much it. However, you listen to this podcast, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and a nice review and subscribe if possible. Thank you all so much for listening to the Lazy Bob podcast. And we'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye.